This is for Algebra 2. This is radical equation and inequalities, day 2 of solving them. Remember that to solve an equation that has a radical, you have to isolate the radical, which means get it by itself. Then you raise both sides to the root of the radical. If it was a square root, you square it. If it was a cube root, you cube it. Remember that when you do this, you get rid of the radical sign. That's the whole purpose. Okay, it becomes whatever was under it. Then you have a normal equation, you solve for x. Inequalities, the only thing different is you have to remember that you flip the inequality if you multiply or divide by a negative number. Only change you're going to see. So looking at number 1, you're going to start by isolating, so you're going to move this 5, and you have the square root of x is equal to negative 5. You're going to square both sides, and when you square, the square root and the square cancel each other out and leaves you x is equal to negative 5 squared is positive 25. X is by itself, you have your answer. Number 2, notice it's the fourth root, so both sides get raised to the fourth power. And your fourth root and your fourth power cancel out and leave you x minus 5 is equal to 2 to the fourth. You would just take your calculator and say 2 rooftop 4, and you would get 16. Write that down. So then you're going to bring your 5 over and add that. X is equal to 16 plus 5, which is 21. You got to be careful on one like this. You have a number in front. You could either bring it over and divide, makes a fraction, kind of weird stuff, or just be careful and you know that you square what's on the outside and you square the square root. So when you square both sides, this becomes x squared times x, because the x on the outside gets squared, and then the square root of x loses its square root, is equal to 4 times 4 is 16. So this becomes x to the third is equal to 16. You have to uncube it, so that means you're going to rooftop it to the 1 divided by 3, because it was cubed. So x is equal to, and you would take your calculator, and you would say 16 rooftop open 1 divided by 3. And you get 2.52. And I'll let you just give me decimals today. 2.52. You could have also factor treated it and all that good stuff, but I'll be nice, I'll let you use decimals. Okay, the fourth root of 16, x to the 12th divided by the 5th. Fourth root of 16, you're going to go 16 rooftop 1 divided by 4 in your calculator. So you're going to say 16 rooftop, not divide, rooftop, open 1 divided by 4. Now if you have the calculator that when you do the rooftop it puts it up high, you don't have to do the whole open parenthesis thing. And we get 2. So instead of 16 we have 2. Then for your exponents you're going to divide them. So you're going to say 12 divided by 4 is 3. So this becomes x to the third. And then you're going to say 5 divided by 4 is 1 with a remainder of 1. So you're going to have a y on the outside and then a fourth root symbol with a y on the inside. The 1 here is the y on the outside. The remainder of 1 is the y on the inside. So let's do another one of those because it's kind of confusing. If you have room to write this down somewhere, that's great. If not, it's not the end of the world. If we had the cubed root of 27, x to the 5th, y to the 12th, z to the 8th. Okay? You're going to say 27 rooftop 1 divided by 3, and you're going to get 3. It's plain number, whole number, no big deal, put it on the outside. Then you're going to say 5 divided by 3 is 1 with a remainder of 2. Now how do you figure out there's a remainder of 2? Well, 1 times 3 is 3, 5 minus 3 is 2. So since you have a 1, you're going to have an x on the outside. Leave a little space to write, put your cubed root. Since you had a remainder of 2, this would be x squared on the inside. For your y, you're going to say 12 divided by 3 is 4. There's no remainder. It works out even. So you have y to the 4th on the outside. And then you're going to say 8 divided by 3. We're going to 8 2 times with a remainder of, well, 2 times 3 is 6. 8 minus 6 is 2. So you're going to have a z squared on the outside and a z squared on the inside. If you get confused on that one, call me over. I'll look at it with you. So then you turn into inequalities. Remember, the only thing different here is if you multiply or divide by negative, you flip the inequality. So we're going to start by squaring both sides, and so that gives me x is greater than 7 squared is 49. X is by itself, there's your answer. Number 6, you're going to move the 6 and you're going to add it. So the square root of a is greater than or equal to 2 plus 6, which is 8. You're going to square both sides, and so you get a is greater than or equal to 64. A is by itself, so that's your answer. Going to the next page. You want to start by moving your 5. So you have 3 square root of x is equal to 13 plus 5, which is 18. Now, you've got a couple of choices here. You can go ahead and square both sides. You've got to remember to square that 3 on the outside. If you can move it and come out with an even number, I think it's easier to do that first. 3 is in front of that, so I would bring this 3 over here and divide by 3. And you get the square root of x is equal to 18 divided by 3, which is 6. And that's going to be easier to work with. Now we square both sides, and we get x is equal to 36, and that's your answer. If you had done it the other way, you're going to get the same answer. If you go ahead and square both sides here, you say 3 squared is 9, the square root of x squared is x, equals 18 squared is 324. Then you bring your 9 over and divide by 9, and you get 36. So either way you do it, you're going to get the same answer. It really doesn't matter. All right, for number 8, you're going to square both sides. It's a little different here because we've got a square root on each side of the equal sign. Works the same. When you square on the left, you lose the square root and it becomes x plus 3. When you square on the right, you lose the x squared and the square root and becomes 3 plus x. So then I would bring my x over and subtract it, and it cancels and leaves me 3 equals, and the x is gone, 3. When you lose all of your x's, remember this is where you got to figure out, is my answer no solution or is it all real numbers? Well, 3 is equal to 3, which is true, and that means my answer is ARN. All right, so when they give it to you as a fraction, you have to rewrite it as a root. This becomes, now remember the bottom number is your root and the top number is going to be an exponent under it. So this is the cubed root of x squared plus 3 equals 0. So then you're going to move your 3. So the cubed root of x squared is equal to negative 3. Now we've got to get rid of the cube root, so we're going to cube both sides, and this becomes x squared, because when you cube it, you cancel out the root and the cube, and whatever's under there stays just like it was. Equals negative 3 to the 3rd power. Be careful about that. If you're going to do that in your calculator, put your negative 3 in parentheses, please. Otherwise, you might end up with issues, and you get negative 27. So we're going to say x squared is equal to negative 27, and we have some issues here because you've got to square root it. So x is equal to plus or minus the square root of negative 27. We have a negative, that means you've got to have an I. Let's go ahead and factor tree the 27. This would be like 3 times 9, 3 and 3. So we're going to pull a 3 out. So x is equal to plus or minus 3i square root of 3. Okay, this 3 right here was the lonesome one that stayed under. If you have questions about that one, call me over. I'll look at it with you. You do need to be able to factor tree. All right, so if you have some extra space on your handout or on your notes, you might want to work through some of these with me. You're going to square both sides. So you get x squared minus 4 is equal to 9 squared, which is 81. So lots of different things you could do here. easiest way to get this done probably is to cheat at the calculator and go to y equal and clear everything out. And y1 is going to be x squared minus 4. And y2 is going to be 81. And you're going to go second calc 5 for intersect. Let it draw. Enter, enter, enter. And it's giving you no sign change because it can't see it. You need to go to zoom 0 for fit so that hopefully you can see both of your lines. It's going to be iffy, but we'll try it. Second calc 5, enter, enter, enter. And it still can't quite see it, so we need to go to zoom and number 3 for out and press enter. And now you can definitely see where the lines cross, so try one more time. Second calc 5, enter, enter, enter. And 11.18 is an answer. 11.18 is an answer, but they cross twice, so you got to go find this other one. So go second calc 5 again, arrow over to the left, and enter, enter, enter. And your other solution is negative 11.18. Negative 11.18. It will not always be the same number, one positive, one negative, so check both answers. All right, on this next one, you got to kind of be careful here because everything over here gets squared and everything over here gets squared. This means you got to square that 3 also. So 3 squared is 9. Parentheses, this becomes x minus 2. Equals, and this becomes x plus 2. So you would distribute, or if you wanted to cheat at your calculator, you would go to y equal, and you would clear everything out, and you would say 9, open, x minus 2, close, and at y2 you would say x plus 2, and you would go second, calc 5, let it draw, enter, 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 and x equal 2.5. If you wanted to do it old school way, you would distribute and you would say 9x minus 18 is equal to x plus 2. You would subtract your x and you would get 8x. You would add your 18 and you would get 20. And you would divide and you would still get 2.5. Doesn't matter which way you do it. So this one works very similar. You're going to square both sides. So this becomes 16 times x plus 3 is equal to x minus 3. Same thing, you can either do it in the calculator at y equal, or you can distribute, whichever one you feel is more accurate for you and faster. 16 times x plus 3, and then at y2 you have x minus 3. So then you go second calc 5, let it draw. They're straight lines, so you only have one solution. Enter, 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 and you get negative 3.4. Once again, if you distributed, move things around, you should get the same answer. Both of these sides are going to get cubed. This becomes x plus 6. You're going to take your calculator and you're going to say 12. You go to your home screen first. Say 12, rooftop, 3, and you get 1728. You're going to bring your 6 over and subtract it. X is equal to 1722. X to the 2/3 has to be rewritten. This becomes the cubed root of x squared is equal to 27. You're going to have to cube both sides, so x squared is equal to 27 cubed. It's going to be a huge number, not that big of a deal. We have calculators. 19,683. Then you have to unsquare it, so you have to square root it. So you go second x squared, and you do your 19,683, and you get 140.3. And that's your answer. Technically, it's plus or minus. All right, that has you finished with your notes. You're ready to start your assignment.